What's happening, guys? So today I want to talk about how to minimize fat gain during a reverse diet. And this is just something that is a huge concern of most people when they're going through a reverse diet. And I get it, like nobody wants to gain a bunch of extra fat. But there's some things that we can do to try to minimize it and make the process go as well as possible. And I've worked with a lot of people who have gone through reverse diets now. And I can tell you that almost every single time, the main difference between people who do really well and people who gain more weight than they wanted to pretty much comes down to adherence. It really does. Now, I'm not saying that some people don't just have a tendency to gain weight faster than other people and we can stay on point and they may gain more. It does happen. Like, a lot of it just comes down to genetics. You know, of course, diet history and everything else comes into play. But some people, you can just add a bunch of calories and they respond really well. They have a really adaptive metabolism, so you can be more aggressive with their increases, whereas other people, it's like every time you add 5 carbs to their diet, they blow up in weight. You know what I mean? Like, it does happen. However, for the most part, it just really does come down to adherence. And like, if you really want to minimize weight gain, stick to the plan. And I know it can be tough, and I'm not saying that you shouldn't be more flexible when calories get higher. I'm actually a really big advocate of being a little bit more flexible and not being as stringent when calories do get higher, because when you do go through a cutting phase down the road and you have to be more on point with things to see better results, you don't want to be already burnt out, like measuring every single gram of broccoli as you're going through a building phase, so that when you do go into a cutting phase, you're just like totally burnt out already. But at the same time, like, if you really want to keep things at bay, the better you can stick to your macros and to your diet, the better things are going to go. And for the most part, the majority of people who I have worked with who just gain a lot more weight than they were expecting to and things go south, it's usually because they have a hard time sticking to their diet. They have a lot of weeks where they just think, well, it's not a big deal because I'm in a building phase. I'm not trying to lose weight now anyways, so what's the point? What's the difference? And they think like, well, what's a half pound here and a pound there? Or, you know, oh, it's just 1 week. But when you do a reverse diet for a year and you get a half pound here and a pound there, it adds up really fast. You know what I mean? So it's like, you don't think it's a big deal in the process on a week by week basis. You're like, it's not really that big of a deal. Suddenly, 40 weeks later, you've gained 25 pounds and you're like, how the hell did I get here? But when you really look back and you be really honest with yourself about how things are going, most of the time it's like, well, I wasn't really sticking to it. I wasn't accounting for these certain foods. I wasn't accounting for everything that I ate. I wasn't measuring anything that I was eating. I was just not really paying that close attention. And that's how that weight gain can really kind of creep up on you. So it's a fine line. You know, there's a balance, and everyone has a different balance and everyone has different priorities and should approach things in their own unique ways. But I'm telling you right now, if you really want to try to minimize weight gain, and if you want to do as good as possible during the reverse process to set yourself up in a good starting position when it is time to cut, be as diligent as you can with your nutrition. It'll be huge. And same with training. Like, don't slack on your training. You know, stick to the program. Be on point as much as possible, and things will go as good as possible, at least. At least this way we can control things. The other thing that we can do, of course, is just take it slower. All right. So if you want to minimize weight gain, the slower you increase calories, the less likely you will be to gain weight. You know, you give your body time, you give your metabolism time to adapt to the new calories. So if you just make small changes here and there, now you're in a position where the body can keep up. Whereas if you make bigger changes, the body's going to have a harder time keeping up. So there's always trade-off. There's trade-off in everything we do. If you take a faster approach, your metabolism is going to adapt faster and your metabolic rate is going to improve at a faster rate, but you're also going to be more likely to store additional body fat. Whereas if you take it slower, it's going to take longer to get your metabolic rate to a better place, but you will gain less fat. And I find that 9 out of 10 people, if not more than that, just really seem to do better with a slower process and minimizing the gain, taking a longer approach to the reverse so that they don't freak out. And the biggest mistake people make is they go through reverse, it doesn't go very well, they panic, they gain much more weight than they're expecting to. Like I said, they panic, and then they slash their calories right away and say, I can't take it, I can't do this, I can't do the reverse, I can't take this weight gain, I gotta get it off. So they don't allow their body time to adapt, and they slash their calories right away. The body doesn't respond because it hasn't had time to improve, and nothing happens, and then they say F it and they give up and they go back and they start overeating, and this just horrible cycle happens where it's like you gain weight, slash calories, nothing happens, gain weight, slash calories, nothing happens, and you just do it over and over and never actually get anywhere. So it's really hard. I get it. It's very difficult. It's just tough mentally to go through the reverse process because it's hard. It's hard to be focused on something when you're not physically seeing the results. You know, action plus no results equals burnout. But you have to understand that it's a long-term trade-off, and you're setting yourself up in a great position to win in the long run. So be as patient as possible, be as diligent as possible, and you will set yourself up for success. All right. Hope that helps. Any questions, as always, let me know, and I will talk to you later.
I'm addicted to the love that you're giving. Every minute, every day I've been craving.